Hello, Chester County. How are you today? I am very happy to be bringing you the candidates for the 4 row offices, which will be on the ballot in November. So let's go back and let me refresh your memory. I'm telling you something I'm sure you already know, but in 2016, Donald Trump was elected president of the United States. And from my point, that is when the blue wave that we've been riding on ever since started. And it really got started in earnest the following November with the sweep of the row offices, which started with some of our guests here today. And then it continued with the election of Chrissy Houlihan, the election of Joseph Biden as our president. And what the Democratic Party is really hoping for right now is that this blue wave will just continue to sweep on through the 2021 elections. Without wasting any more time, we're going to introduce our first guest. And our first guest is our current clerk of courts, and she is seeking re-election. And I would like to introduce to you Yolanda Vandekro.
Well, thanks, Phil, and thanks everyone for listening in. Love to talk about the Clerk of Court's office. It's an office that you may never use. No one really expects to be accused of a crime or the victim of a crime. But things happen. People drive impaired. Teens make poor decisions. People want to appeal speeding tickets. You may need to bail a family member out of jail. And if any of those things or more happen, it's my determination, and every decision I make is to transform the Clerk of Court's office to make sure that it works better for you. So I've really focused on 4 things. One is increasing access to justice. The other is modernization. The third is cost savings. And the fourth, which is maybe the biggest surprise, is criminal and social justice reform that I've been able to make in this office. So I'll just kind of give you a quick example of what I've been able to do under these, but I've done, a lot more than this. So in terms of increasing access to justice, it used to be that everybody and every lawyer had to walk into my office and literally hand over paper. I successfully implemented e-filing at no cost to the taxpayers, so that now lawyers can file paperwork on their client's behalf anywhere from any time, and also now have access to all the documents that they need. So by modernizing the office and e-filing, I'm saving you and your lawyer a lot of time and a lot of money, and improving access to justice. In terms of modernization, we used to mail more than 12,000 checks a year, and we used to scan or mail thousands upon thousands of documents. We now send payments electronically, and we now scan all the paper that we can scan. Some has to be mailed, but very little. So when we used to use, paper, ink, checks, envelopes, stamps, all of that was really expensive and time consuming. So by modernizing the office, we've saved money and time there. So those 2 things, improving access and modernization, saving you, the taxpayers, at least $160,000 a year. And we're always finding new ways to modernize the office and save money. Probably the biggest surprise to me is that as a fairly administrative office, there's also social and criminal justice reform that is possible to do through this office. And so as one example, we now expunge juvenile records for juveniles who qualify, had low-level offenses, and they've turned 18, but they have neglected to avail themselves of the option to expunge their records. So I've worked with juvenile probation, the DA's office, and the president judge to be able to move forward with expunging those records, again, if they qualify, so that a mistake that a juvenile made will no longer hold them back. So it's been a whirlwind. We've done a lot of great things. And really, at the end of the day, everyone's impacted by the Clerk of Court's office, either directly as a user, indirectly as a taxpayer, but really at the end of the day, the office plays an important role that everyone has a right to justice. And so that right is something that I take very seriously and want to improve. We see, just so you know, about 6,000 criminal cases a year. We collect $6 million in fees and fines. We pay out $1 million in restitution to victims. We handle tens of millions of dollars of bail every year. We have clerks who sit in over 21,000 court hearings a year. So it's a really busy office. There's lots of room for improvement, which, you know, my team and I have worked on really hard, but there's still more to do. You know, I've modernized as much as I could in the last 3 years, but there's many, many projects of modernization that I'm still working on and am looking to see through. So in that respect, I am here to ask for your vote to reelect me for Clerk of Courts so that I can continue to do the good work I'm doing.
Well, okay, well, you just answered about 3 of my questions at least, you know, but one did come up while you were speaking, particularly about the expunging of records. And I was wondering how that would apply in cases where our laws have changed. For instance, there's a lot of talk right now about the legalization of recreational use of marijuana. If somebody had a record of marijuana use on their record, would that automatically be expunged, or would that be something they would have to go petition the court for?
Right. So right now well, I shouldn't say that. There was legislation about 2 years ago to seal records for people who had low-level offenses and who had not committed crimes in the last 10 years. And actually, believe it or not, if you had been accused of a crime and found not guilty and you had not expunged your record, it's still out there for everyone to see. So thank goodness Pennsylvania was the first state in the nation it's called clean slate legislation. And in the course of 1 year, from June of 19 to June of 20, we sealed, so sealed is not the same as expunging, but we sealed 1.7 million cases for people in Chester County. So that those are no longer on your record, they're no longer visible except to law enforcement and certain jobs, like if you work in a school or whatever. And that was something that, you know, we had to do, 1.7 million records. It was an absolutely crazy Herculean job to not only seal those records, but then to make sure if somebody calls the office and says, hey, you know, I want to know if Jane Smith has this record, we say no, because it's sealed. And we had to have all kinds of rules around how, even though we see it on our computer screen, we cannot say yes. And that was actually almost harder than sealing the records. But in terms of expunging records, we just had new legislation passed. And frankly, there's legislation constantly that we have to implement. And that makes the job interesting to expunge low-level records automatically so that you don't have to come into the office, pay a fee, and, you know, wait all these months. It's hot off the presses. It was supposed to start January 1st, but we didn't get the kind of how to do it. So we just got the how of how to do these automatic expungements. So some of you with records out there will have your records automatically expunged, and you won't have to come in and pay a fee to get it done. But we
okay, very good.
There's nothing drug related specifically.
Got it. Now, it just boggles my mind that you've been in office since 2017 now, just a little over 3 years. And when you came in, all those records were still on paper that recently, you know, and that to me just blows my mind. You think about all the extra costs involved with paper storage and inefficiency and things like that. So I commend you for correcting that. That's something that should have been done a long time ago from my standpoint. What would you say your biggest point of unfinished business is that you're working on now that you would like to continue to work on if reelected?
So the modernization so far has been paper, but we do, if you have a criminal hearing or a trial and physical evidence is admitted in court, once it's admitted, the clerk of courts is responsible for holding that physical evidence. So we have a room full of everything you can think of, including drugs, guns, money, and everything else that people use committing a crime. And so while we have that and it's safeguarded and everything, it's not modernized in the same way as the paper is. So that's the next step that I'm working on. I'm talking to a company to see about getting things QR coded so that we can track and do inventory a lot more easily than we would ever be able to do it now by hand. I mean, it's really almost impossible. So modernization of physical evidence is my next huge project.
QR coded, that's the key right there, I think. As a UPS driver who scans packages every day, I understand the benefit of that completely. So that's great. Now, let's see. What do you think? I did have a question there and it escapes me. But if I'm going to jump to my, why do you think you're the best candidate? Besides the obvious that you're the incumbent with 3 years experience. Tell us.
Well, in my mind, a lot of this could have been done a long time ago. And it really takes someone who comes in, does the job full time, listens to the team, because the team we have some people who've been there 30 plus years, really listening to what they say and really building those relationships internally in the Justice Center to be able to get things done. I can't do these things in a vacuum. I need the DA, I need the president judge, I need the adult probation and juvenile probation to get anything done. So, working hard, coming in all the time, listening to the team, developing relationships has gotten me to the point where I can do all of these things. And they frankly could have been done, before I got here. But it has to take someone who doesn't really say, well, because we've always done it this way, like that drives me crazy. So I look at everything we do and why are we doing it this way? And I question people, and every day people come to me. Just last week it happened. Somebody said, well, why are we doing it this way? Why don't we do it that way? And I said, perfect. That saves everybody time, money, energy. Let's do it. And that's what I'm all about. I always tell the team, come to me. You have an idea, I will always listen to you. And if it works, we'll implement it. And that's what it takes, is just not being complacent about how we're doing things. And we've always done it this way.
Well, I can definitely understand that. You have, by my calculation, with 6,000 cases a year moving through your offices, that's 115 new cases per week. And it would be disastrous to, for people's lives, to have that fuddled up and get backlogged and all that. And I appreciate your efforts in that. And we have just 1 minute left for you. These 15-minute sessions go by really quick. So I'm just going to ask you my fun question, and tell us, when you're not working and holding office and serving Chester County, what do you like to do? What's your hobbies or your fun things to do?
I love to be outdoors. So my husband and I are big hikers, bikers, walkers. Getting out, I just need that movement and energy. And, my son, when he's home from college, our vacations are all around when we could take vacations, very active vacations, hiking and biking and getting out and enjoying all the parks that Chester County has to offer.
We sure have that. We definitely have that. Well, I want to thank you very much. I want to wish you a happy and cordial campaign season here. So, and I'm sure I'll be seeing a lot more of you as the year unfolds.
Yes, you will. Well, thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Thank you, Yolanda. And moving right along, we are now going to talk to my friend, my UPS customer. I know where she lives. And I've known Margaret for almost a decade now. And we have our very kind of, dare I say, rock star county controller, Margaret Reif. Come on, Margaret.
Hey, Phil, friend. Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity to come and talk with you guys today.
Well, we are glad to have you. I mean, I am just, I'm a fan of yours, that's for sure. Besides being your friend, I appreciate the good work that you've done in your 3+ years in office. And from this voter standpoint, even though indivisible trust of county is non-partial, which is kind of like in question sometimes. But I definitely, you've got my vote anyway. So Margaret, tell us, what have you been up to in the past 3 years? Can you tell us about what you've been doing in your job, and share with us whatever you want?
Yeah, sure. I guess well, let me start by explaining, number one, what the Controller's Office does, because I think that helps for people to understand the work that we've been up to. Within the Office of the Controller, I have like 4 main teams. The first is accounting, and we handle all the accounting alongside with finance for the entire county. We also publish, and it takes us about 6 months to work on the comprehensive annual financial report, which is about 200 pages long. But we do have, for those that aren't interested in reading all 200 pages, a report summary, which is about 20 pages long. So our team just recently, in the last couple of weeks, were recognized with a national award for financial reporting. Super proud of everybody in our group. I think we're like maybe one of 2 in the entire state to earn this award. So we've got a really good group in our team. We also do accounts payable. We process nearly 50,000 invoices a year, totaling nearly $500 million worth of payments out, through grants and Verizon and you name it. We're in the process right now of revamping the entire system. It's been a system that's been in place since the early days, super manual, super paper heavy. We're in the process of implementing an AP automation software package. So that's been a project that's been in the works now for the last probably at least 6 months, and we hope to have that up and running, by summer. But it's been a pretty intense project, but I'm super excited about it because it's truly going to move us into the 21st century, which is a huge accomplishment, and will provide more efficiency and savings around the county. I also have payroll in our department, and so we process all of the payroll statements or the payroll checks and the pension statements, pension payments, every other week to 2,600 employees plus about 1,300 pensioners. I'm also in the process of streamlining that process. We're going to be outsourcing the fundamental role of payroll to an outsource company, to an outside company, which will free us up to be able to work on multiple departments, to be able to work on other projects and to save some money. The fourth team that I have in my department is the audit team. So as you can see, we kind of have like a lot of different independent, unique things going on within my department. But audit is responsible for state mandated audits. Plus, additionally, we try to do things as they come up or where we think they're needed. But I will say over the course of the years, due to, process limitations, heavily manual processes, and staffing issues, being as engaged as we want to be has been a challenge. So this year, what we did, another major project that's going to be countywide, is we purchased an an audit automation package, and we're in the process of administrating that. Getting that up and running so that we can get all of our audits that we normally done a lot more quickly, a lot more efficiently. It enables people around the county to be able to work remotely because that's a big thing as a result of the pandemic. And it'll give us the opportunity to expand the audits that we're currently doing. Additionally, what the audit team does, what we do is we're responsible for the waste, fraud, and abuse hotline, which I would say prior to my taking office was frustratingly for the audit team underutilized. And since I've come in, I'm super proud of the fact that we have been able to really ramp that up. And as a result of a lot of the tips that have come in, we've had some great successes in things like identifying the fact that There needed to be work done on the rover transportation system, that provides services to like literally the most vulnerable people in the community. And so as a result of the tip and working with the administration, we were able to bring in a transportation consultant and bring on a task force to work on making improvements. And I'm super proud about that. Obviously, one of the other tips that is out there that everybody's aware of is, the information that we received regarding the former sheriff, Bunny Welsh, and her boyfriend, Harry McKinney. And so obviously the work that we did on that after the tips started coming in resulted in the recent charges and guilty plea by both of them.
So that's excellent. I'm especially, besides your work in the mismanagement in the one department, I am definitely impressed by your work with the rover. I know that as a community leader in Downingtown here, I know that public transportation is something that we constantly need to look at, and it definitely could stand a lot of improvement. And anything that goes in that regards, I applaud immensely. So what do you think, what is your unfinished business? What do you want to continue the most to do if you get the chance to serve another 4 years after this year?
Well, I think it's fair to say that I'm never going to be in a position where, my work here is done and now I'm going to move on to the next project, because literally every day it's something different, particularly with the waste, fraud, and abuse and the audit work that we're doing. We're constantly, we always have this plan, and then the plan changes. So because of whatever happens, the pandemic hits, and we have to look into all the CARES money. We have to do this, that, and the other thing. So there's a laundry list of things that we had hoped to accomplish prior to the pandemic hitting, and basically totally taking us off in a different direction. But if I had no pandemics or crises to deal with, the number one thing we want to do is certainly expand our reach with the audit team. Obviously, I need to finish the projects that we started with AP and payroll because it's going to take us a while to really make sure that they are solid. But the audit team, we're looking to expand our reach within the county, and sort of work more closely with the departments as more of a resource than just the way everybody looks at auditors is but we're definitely making progress in working with the variety of different departments to ensure that we're kind of more of a partner with them, as just somebody that they worry about it as coming in and trying to catch them in something.
Now, is this a 5-day-a-week job? Are you at the Government Services Center 5 days a week?
Yeah, we are. So I don't work at the government. I don't work at the GSC. We work.
Oh, I thought you did.
We're in the administrative building, which is like next door to the courthouse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So since my office is not public facing like Yolanda's is, right? So essentially, once we went on to lockdown over a year ago now, we were restricting the number of people in the office because we don't have to be there. So where you see me right now is pretty much a lot of the times where I am from like 7 in the morning until, sometimes 6, 7 o'clock at night, in just meeting after meeting. But yeah, this is a full-time job. And I am, I believe, from my understanding, the first person to treat it as such. And is that lightning, or was that like just a?
No, that was something fell off my wall in my house. But go ahead. And from what I hear, in my office, it's like if the controller is absent, and everything's left up to the deputy or to the managers or whatever, and they don't have the support of the controller to go out and meet with the department heads and different things like that, it's more difficult
for anyone to get anything done. So since I've been there, all these projects in the past that my staff had been trying to get done without the support of the controller, we've been able to make progress on because I can get the department heads together. So yeah, it's whether it's actually physically in the office or not.
I get it.
Yeah, this is a new world, right? You still have to be 100% present.
Yeah, you know what I was alluding to. Whether you're there electronically or physically, you're there, and that, as you pointed out, hasn't always been the case.
No.
So I just also want to point out for our viewers that for each of the candidates that we're interviewing today, their contact information, their Facebook campaign pages are on the bottom of the window where you see them. So I urge you to like those pages so you can keep up to date with their campaigns as they progress, and maybe even lend a hand and help out if you really feel strongly about a candidate. That's always encouraged. We got 3 minutes left here. So could you tell us, I know, like I pointed out, I know where you live and I know that you have a family. What can you tell us about Margaret when Margaret's not watching the pennies of Chester County?
Well, fun fact, I have worked as a photographer, which started out as a hobby and then sort of took it up as a little side job until recently, because it's nights and weekends and I just can't handle it anymore. I'm too exhausted from work. But I guess, it was funny. I was talking with a potential intern this afternoon for our campaign, and I was talking about, the fact that I went from an economics and finance person, small business owner, to home and school president and Cub Scout leader, and someone who learned the organizational structure of groups, to an activist. And I think, Phil, that's where you and I first met, was when I came into the Downingtown Borough Council with a news crew behind me, discussing, and it had to do with the child abuse scandal within the Catholic Church and their facilities in our area.
I remember it well.
Sorry about that, Phil.
I'm not sure if I was even in office at that point. I may have just been in the peanut gallery, or, I used to attend a lot of council meetings before I became a council member myself. But anyway, yeah, I learned right then how formidable you could be. So if you put your mind to it.
Right. And then you kind of but they're also unrelated, issues. And then generally when the activism took place with, when Trump got elected and I, got involved and started moving people down to the Women's March in DC, and then begging people to run for office, and now running for office, it's just amazing how all these things kind of come together. So I mean, that little streamline of my life is sort of an indication of, the things that I am interested in and do. And like Yolanda, I'm also very interested in hiking and kayaking, and, we travel to Alaska and Wyoming and anywhere we can go and get some good hikes in. It's our favorite.
Well, that's true. And I do appreciate, like you say, that a lot of us used to have the mindset that running for office was something that other kinds of people did. Well, we've smashed that to smithereens, I think. And I think if you care enough and you have the time and the inclination, you should definitely consider running for office, for any office. So
don't
much respect with that.
Stand up and do something about it if you don't like what's going on, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the only way. If people think they can get away with things, then they will probably. So any event, thank you very much for coming in and talking to Indivisible Chester County today. And remember, visit Margaret's Facebook page. And Margaret, I'll see you around soon, I'm sure.
On the streets, yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Phil.
Take care, Margaret. Bye now. So now our next guest is the candidate of the row offices who is not the incumbent. She is taking over, hopefully, if she runs a successful campaign. Christina Vanderpool has decided not to seek re-election. So her deputy coroner, Sophia Garcia Jackson, is hoping to fill her shoes. So I would like to welcome ICC members to Sophia Garcia Jackson.
Hello.
Hi, Sophia. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks. Thank you for coming and talking today. And as I just want to point out, it just popped out, facebook.com/Sophia for Coroner. So visit that page, give it a like, and learn more about what we don't cover today about Sophia. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm currently with the coroner's office right now. My title is the Chief Deputy Coroner. So I am the second in command. I work right under Dr. Vanderpool, the current coroner. And I've been with the office for 2 years. So when I first started, I was the first deputy coroner, and then I was promoted to chief deputy right at the start of the pandemic last year. So I basically supervise all aspects of the office as far as administration, death investigation, transportation. I work on the budget. I do the scheduling. I'm an on-call supervisor 24/7 every 3 weeks. I can review medical records and autopsy reports and toxicology reports to sign death certificates.
So now you mentioned that you came on right at the start of the pandemic, and that makes it all the more challenging. I know that the coroner's office is on the front lines of the opioid crisis, and then now to have this layered on top of it, and it's been a lot of the work that your colleagues across the country has been thrown into question from time to time when determining the cause of death to somebody who the coroner may have ruled that it was because of COVID-19, where others may challenge that and say that it's for other reasons. And how do you handle that?
So that did come up in the beginning, and really it's all about obtaining medical records, obtaining that COVID test result, speaking to the primary care physician or the doctor that was treating that person. That way we know that we absolutely know what the cause and manner of death is. And the Department of Health actually sends us letters from time to time asking for proof of the COVID test results. And luckily we have all that information because we've already gathered it. So we're able to quickly turn that information over to let them know that it in fact was a COVID-related death.
And how has the opioid crisis in Chester County been affected by the COVID-19? Is it the same? Has it gotten worse?
So it's interesting, when COVID hit and everyone was quarantined to their home, the numbers actually went down. So we saw that we didn't have as many suspected drug-related deaths. And then as people started, going out and some of the regulations were lifted, then our drug-related deaths started going back up again.
So that I see. Now I was kind of looking at your record a little bit. You have you're quite well educated, so that's pretty impressive. What can you tell us about your educational background?
Yes, so I have a master's degree in forensic medicine from the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine, and I have a bachelor's degree in anthropology. And then during my undergrad, I did an internship with the Human Identification Lab, and I also have a certificate in forensic identification. So basically determining if skeletal remains were human or non-human. I also did an internship with the Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office, and I do have a certificate from the American Board of Medical Legal Death Investigators, and also I'm certified with the Pennsylvania Coroner's Education Board. So that's a week-long course that is required to be the coroner, and I've already taken that course.
Well, if I was trying to fill airtime, all I had to do was ask you about your educational background, and that definitely took care of some of that. So that's very helpful. So what do you foresee, if elected, that would you continue the work that Dr. Vanderpool has, Vanderpool has done, or would you take things in a different direction?
So I think Dr. Vanderpool started a lot of great projects that she's trying to finish out with her last year. And one of them is building a modern forensic facility. So that is something that we are trying really hard on. And if it doesn't get accomplished this year, I'm going to continue for next year as well. And then another one is having a on-staff forensic pathologist. So right now we have per diem doctors that work at other locations, and then they work with us when they can. And so we pay them on a per autopsy basis. So if we had a full-time pathologist on staff, we wouldn't have to pay per autopsy. So that would save the county money. So I definitely want to continue with some of the efforts that she started that doesn't seem to be going through. So it didn't get passed for this year, 2021. So I'll try again, submitting that budget to the commissioners for approval for 2022.
Yeah, the key word, saving money. I know the commissioners should be have open ears for that, considering the debt load currently faced by the county right now that was inherited by our current team of commissioners, I should say.
Yeah.
So tell us about what you like to do. I mean, tell us about you personally, just whatever you feel like sharing with us today.
Sure. So I'm actually born and raised in California. So I moved out here when I met my husband. So I met my husband studying abroad in West Africa, in Ghana. So he was going to Temple University and I was going to California State University, Chico. And so we met and we did a long distance relationship, and he told me about the graduate school in Philadelphia. So I moved out here in 2010 and I love it. I love it on the East Coast. We visit California from time to time so I can see my family. But it's just me, my husband, my dog Chico, and 2 cats. And we love being outdoors and checking out the different preserves that we have here in Chester County and seeing as much of the county as I can.
Excellent, excellent. So do you, if I could ask you a personal question, have you been vaccinated yet, or do you intend to get vaccinated?
I have been vaccinated. So we, as the county, just for being, we're not first responders. We like to call ourselves the last responders. But since we do have to deal with, COVID positive decedents and family members on scenes, we were included to get vaccinated with the first responders.
And I would expect no less, absolutely. For the work that you do, I would definitely want to see you vaccinated. So now, do you anticipate doing any traditional campaigning between now and November, or are you holding off on that now, or?
So I'd like to, just because this is my first time and I don't really know the ropes. So I did go to all the petition signing events that were held by the different zones, and that was great getting to meet people. So I'd love to, throw events if I can safely, go door to door, and starting in my neighborhood just to meet some of my neighbors and let them know that I'm running.
Well, as somebody who's running for re-election here for mayor in the borough of Downingtown, maybe sometime later this year, I can show you around Downingtown and introduce you to some of our fine residents that we have here. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're about done here. So unless you have something that you would like to add or something.
The only thing I would like to add is that there's a misconception that you have to be a doctor to be the coroner. And I just want to let everyone know that you don't have to be a doctor. I feel that I am, ready for this job. I'm already doing it. I'm educated and hands-on, and I would love you guys to vote for me.
All right. Well, I think that many of our viewers are probably going to be happy to do that for you. So I would like to thank you for taking time to come and talk to Indivisible Chester County today, and remind our viewers that that Sophia's Facebook handle is below our pictures here. And Sophia, I look forward to meeting you. Have a great day. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Rob, can you send me a message? Do we have another guest, or are we, we're waiting to see. We may have a potential 4th guest today, or maybe not. I'm not really sure. In the meantime, I want to talk, yep, I have a message here. Okay. Patricia Maizano wasn't sure if she was going to be able to join us today, and though Patricia is definitely somebody who ICC will likely be supporting, she's been going through some challenges of life lately, as many of us know, and our dare I say it, I will say our thoughts and our prayers go out to Patricia and her family. I think that now we should be getting the people who are registered to vote by mail should be getting our ballots here in not too distant future. And I think that if you're going to mail it in, you need to mail it in the day you get it. And if you're going to, I do believe the drop boxes will be in place, so you'll probably want to avail yourself to them. As somebody who's planning on being at the polls most of the day on election day anyway, on primary election day, I'm going to vote the traditional way. So, but we're still in a pandemic here, and we can't lose sight of that, even though many of us have been vaccinated. The vaccinations have been rolling out somewhat frustratingly slow in Chester County particularly. So hopefully if our president is good as his word, that rate will be stepping up in the coming weeks. So I'm hoping that everybody has their first dose at least by the time that we vote in the May primaries. So anyway, it is 4:42. I appreciate you watching our program today, and we're looking forward to have some more programs coming up in the next year or so. In fact, we're jumping ahead, and we're hoping to have a nice forum for our lieutenant governors coming up maybe later this year, because they're already getting geared up for the campaigns for 2022. And we want to be a big part of that and help everybody. And I believe that's it. Happy Sunday, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I want to thank my fellow ICC leadership team members, Rob Cates, for helping the technical aspects of this program, and Shannon Brown and Laura Davis, Hetty Ginnerreiter, and Luke Bauerlein. Could not do it without them. They are indispensable, and we appreciate everybody watching this tonight. So thank you very much, everybody. Have a great week. Happy holiday for my Jewish friends out there, and happy Easter as well. So thank you. Good night.